Hey up everybody, and welcome back to the Audio Cycling YouTube channel, where today we're going to be talking about the La Fleche Wallonne, the next round of the Super Classico. The thing that makes this race a little bit harder is that there's no obvious favourites, so you've got a lot of people who are going to be able to compete for the victory in this race. Obviously, there's Hirschi and Pidcock here, who are the most expensive riders at 24 credits. And based upon, I expect that people will want to be picking these two based upon the Amstel Gold Race, which has just gone by. These two are first and second. I actually just looked at all the press releases of teams. Hirschi is going to be the leader for the Fleche Wallonne. He has won this race in the past, back when Hirschi was absolute god mode at Sunweb. That was a good period of cycling. And I think that Hirschi, why not? I think UAE have got a fantastic team here, really strong. The climb is all about positioning. I think that Hirschi could emulate what he did in 2020. I was a little bit sceptical of Hirschi going into this race. I thought maybe the Amstel was just kind of like a bit fortunate that he got into a group without many of the big favourites in there. But you know what? I think he looked really good in Amstel. I think he could certainly do something good here. Very similarly for Pidcock. It's exactly the same thing. Yes, he won Amstel, but there was no Van der Poels there. Lots of the other riders who we all put on, probably like your Van Hills, Kuznefroys, Skelmosers, weren't there, so we don't really have an accurate representation as to how they're all stacking up against each other, which is what makes this race a little bit harder. But Pidcock, he won Amstel, so therefore he's a good pick for this race. I don't think he's ever particularly gone that well in La Fleche Wallonne, even though this race does suit him, but I think Ineos are very good at positioning, and Pidcock should be just fine. Bernot is just like a very solid guy for the top 10. Very funny that these three are the ones who are on the podium of Amstel, at the top of our pricing list. Bernot, he's a guy who's going to come top 10, like almost guaranteed. He's just kind of like grinds away at that climb. He doesn't have a big snap, but you don't really need that to come top 10 in this race. You just need to hang on. So Bernot's fine as well. Madouas and Matthews. If I was to pick one of these 22 credit riders, I would be picking Bernot, based upon the fact that he was stronger than Madouas at the weekend at Amstel Gold Race, and Michael Matthews, I just don't think this race suits massively. Maybe he'll come top 20, but it's not really what we're wanting for an expensive rider, so Bernot's definitely the best one of those. 20 credit riders, the ones which I like are Skelmoser and Vlasov, just because Skelmoser second in this race last year, so he obviously knows what it takes to, do well. He only lost to Pogacar, and that's that's nothing to be ashamed of. And Vlasov has finished third in this race back in 2022 when Dylan Teuns won, and Valverde came second. That's a bit of a throwback, isn't it? Thinking back to the time when Valverde was still riding in the World Tour. Healy, despite the fact that he was really in fantastic form last year, didn't do well in this race, and so I'm apprehensive to pick him for this race, based upon the fact that I don't think he's looking quite as good as last year. So that's just where my head's adding up that logic from. And then you've got Arambarou and Bajoli, who aren't good for this. And then Ayuso, like I said, UAE say they're going for Hirschi, so I'm not sure what Ayuso's role in this is going to be. I think it's an absolute Hail Mary if you put him on, but maybe it could pay off if he's in good position but Hirschi isn't. Maybe they go with him instead. But I would say that Skelmoser and Vlasov are my two kind of favourites, but Skelmoser is definitely my best one because Vlasov's just been a little bit flaky this year. He was very good in the Mallorca Challenges, but in the recent stage races, he's always kind of been beaten by somebody else. It's like he's not quite there, and so I'd say that Skelmos is a little bit of a safer option personally. 18 credit riders, you've got a few which are good. You've got Kuznefroys and Teuns, I'd say, are the best ones. You could provide an argument for Ulissi, who has finished on the podium in this race before, and Bilbao, but because Bahrain say that Bilbao is going to be the leader in this race alongside Boitlago, but they even admit themselves that this climb is better suited to Santiago Boitlago than it is to Bilbao. But if Bilbao is in better position, they're going to go with him. That's literally that is fully regurgitating what they say in their press release. So yeah, he's fine as well. probably for like a top 15 realistically, or maybe a top 10. But yeah, Kuznetsov's done well in this race before, and Turns has obviously won it, so that's why I think that those two are the best ones. All the other ones are just a bit meh. Like, why would you be going with Søren Kragh Andersen here, or Carapaz or Gaudu, when you've got Turns and Kuznetsov, who are just categorically better picks, to be honest. 16 credit riders, the best one by and large is Maxime Van Hils. He was top 10 in this race last year. I think he was like 8th or 9th. And I think that he's looking so much better this year than he was last year. So as long as he's positioned good, I honestly think he could be a top 5. And then other 16 credits, Lorenzo Rota possibly, you could give an argument for. Guillaume Martin will probably be a top 15. Tobias Haaland Johannesson could be a cool outside pick if you're wanting a differential. But honestly, all the other ones just aren't that great. If you need a 16, go with Van Hils. And that's pretty much by and large what you need to do. Van Wilder is there as well, but yeah, Van Hils is just better. 40 credits by Boitlago, the aforementioned rider. I think that he's good. 14 credits is actually a really good value for him. He's bounced back really well from that Paris-Nice crash, which looked pretty nasty, but it's good to see that he's coming back really strong. And yeah, I just think that Boitlago, this climb really suits him. It was very much like that climb which he won in Paris-Nice when he dropped Luke Plapp. Like, he's really good on these short, steep efforts. So I think Boitlago is really good at 14 credits. I'd say, he's probably the best 14 credit rider in my opinion. You could say Gregoire. I think he prefers a flatter finish though. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he seems definitely more of like a sprinting type. And I don't know. Groupama also have like Madouas and Gaudu and Quentin Pacher, who are all looking really good as well. So I just don't know who Groupama are going to go with. So Gregoire is in a team which is just filled with talent, and I'm not sure if he's going to get the nod or not to lead the team. Other 14 credit riders, I'd say honestly Van Zevenaar isn't that bad. 4th in Amstel, that doesn't happen by accident. So if you're looking for a differential pick, I'd say that Van Zevenaar is good. Obviously his claim to fame in this race is when he ended up in that bush after he overcooked a corner. So maybe he can rewrite his history in this race and get a good result to make us all forget about that little blunder that he had a few years ago. 12 credit riders, I'd say that none of them are that great. If you absolutely needed to pick one for some reason, go with Quentin Hermans. That's pretty much it. Maybe Honore? Maybe an absolute push Honore, but I'd say that Hermans is better. 10 credit riders, again, I would say Harada will be a top 20. He's done that in the past. Scaroni is I think Scaroni's good as well. He could definitely be a top 20 as well. Ben Tullett, they will likely go for Benoit, but Tullett has come top 20 in this race before when he was riding for Alpecin Phoenix, I think they were back then. So Tullett, again, we'll just give him a shout out too. Stephen Williams, seems like we just need to kind of always be shouting out about Stephen Williams, because I just have this feeling that he's going to do well in one of these races, and it'll definitely be in the one where I don't point him out. So Stephen Williams, I think, like, maybe if he's, again, like, him and Turns are probably the leaders for Israel Premier Tech, so I'd say that's, Williams, why not? 8 credit riders, Roger Oduya is good. He was 12th in this race last year, and they've only got Vlasov as the other guy, so yeah, maybe Oduya could be a good one to be picking. And then outside of them, like Leclerc, possibly for Soudal Quickstep. They also have Vivarka, who's at the bottom of this 8 credit list. But they've got Van Wilder. But to be honest with you, I don't really like any of the Quickstep riders. I think probably they'll go for Van Zevenant, and so therefore all the other ones are probably not that great to be going with. 6 credit riders, you will, I presume, need 1 or 2 of these, depending on how expensive you're going further up. But I would say, Mark Donovan suits this kind of race, but has never got a good result in this race. So that's a hopeful one, I guess, more than anything. Damien Howson, again, very similar to Mark Donovan, hasn't done well in this race before, but has the characteristics of somebody who should do well in this race. So I'd say that Howson has had a couple of good results this year. And definitely, you know, one of the Q36.5 riders I think will come in beside the top 20. And I think Howson or Donovan could be that guy. Jordan Jagat. You'll have to correct my pronunciation, French people, in the comment section. If you can tell me how to do that phonetically, please do. I think he's really good. He came top 10 in, I can't remember which one it was. Lenny Martinez won it the other day, and then he came second in the Jura Classic, which was won by Godou. Like, he was second there. Total Energies will probably be rallying around him because I think he's their best option. So Jahat, or however you say it, I think that he's a really good 6 credit rider to be going with. La Pera for Decathlon. They'll probably go for Kuznetsov, but I mean, he came 5th in Amstel, so maybe he could do something similar again. And then there are one or two others. Remy Rojas, an absolute push. If all other Group Army options failed, he would be a good one. But you have to rely on about 4 of their riders being out of position. And then Zambanini, barring Victorious Saver, he is in really good form. However, it's up to you to decide whether you think he will be a leader ahead of Santiago Boitlago and Peo Bilbao. I don't think that'll happen, but on an absolute crazy day, maybe it could happen. And then 4 credit riders, the 2 which you need to be concerned about is Davide De Preto and Archie Ryan. Those are the only 2 you really need to be going with. The other ones, you could try to be clever and fancy, but I honestly just think that Archie Ryan and De Preto are the best ones. Especially De Preto. There's no Simon Yates in this race, and their best option, I guess, is Michael Matthews, who, let's face it, isn't massively suited towards the Mur de Huy. So I say that De Preto, maybe he could get a top 15 or a top 20, top 25, and that's pretty good for a 4 credit rider. And I think it's better than banking on assist points, and it's more exciting as well. So I'd say De Preto. Saying that, he's not even in my team for some reason. I've got Archie Ryan in instead of him. There we go. So this is my team at the moment. It's got 5 contenders who I think could be in the top 10 in Pidcock, Van Hills, Turns, Skelmos, Jensen and Kuznetsov. And then we've got De Preto in here as well. The only thing, I mean, maybe I might try and get Hershey in, possibly. I might try get Hershey in and then instead of Skelmos or somebody, and then I'd have to sacrifice somebody else. I don't know what I'd sacrifice. Maybe it would be Pidcock down to an 18, or I don't know. Which is why I was quite just happy with this team as it is, because it just works. But yeah, maybe I'll try get Hershey in. But let me know what you're thinking in the comments section down below. Are you thinking of going just like Hershey, Pidcock, and just like 4 expensive riders and then kind of 2 cheaper riders? Or are you thinking of doing like a 5 people in the top 10? Or are you thinking of like not going with Pidcock at all and just going a bit cheaper and just annihilating the 4 credit rider altogether? I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about that in the comment section. But all that is left to say is to stay safe out there, and I will see you at Liege Bastogne Liege. Salut!